think about this. You have college, you have self-taught, and you have boot camps. So we do boot camp versus self-taught, boot camp versus college, college versus boot camp. Hey, let's think about that. Comment below. But my name is Carl Moore Jr. and thank you for coming to the channel. I'm hoping to turn you into a tech freelancer. Hit the like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss out. But that's one of the things that's going around in this industry right now in the tech field is, do I go to boot camp? Do I go to college? I'm self-taught. For me, I went to college. I had a 4-year ride playing football. So I got the knowledge with football. But in the same aspect, I am self-taught because I went to school for theater and then end up turning into technical theater. But I also got a minor in computer science. Okay. But as you know, wasn't practicing, sitting at home in the dorm room, played on the computers. Once I got out of school, I was still playing with computers in my mom and dad's basement, or the job I had at the time, I was actually working in a computer store. So everything I've done, I actually taught myself. But I think with the day's times, I think you look at college, it's expensive, I'm spending all this money and now I got to pay it back. What else goes on with college? I got to live on campus. I don't live on campus. More money I got to spend. And then, hey, I'm hearing all these people coming out of school with these loans and they got to pay it back. Well, one thing you got to say is suck it up, buttercup. That's it. you either going to, do it or don't do it. Or you go to a boot camp. You have no idea what the hell you're doing. And you're going to a boot camp. 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, whatever it is. You spent all this money. You spent almost anywhere between $1,000 to $10,000, depending on the boot camp you go to, on something you don't have no clue of what you're doing. Or even if you're going to like it, you just spent all this money. Certain people that I see is, for me, I went to boot camp. But boot camp was for, the knowledge that I already know and I needed to get a cert. Or I need to build on what I'm working on, right? Like Cisco, for example. There's always a Cisco boot camp. And it's kind of funny because you go in these classes and you have people who say, hey, I want to be a Cisco engineer. So they go through these boot camps with you. They have no clue what they're getting into. They just spend $10,000 to $15,000 in this class and they think they're going to get a job. It doesn't work like that. Because what's going to happen, they go to these interviews and they find out that they don't have the skill set as the next person. Yes, there's some smart people out there. Don't get me wrong. There's some smart people. But what's going to happen is they're going to go through these boot camps or they're going to go through these self-taught and there's going to be some situations they don't even know how to get themselves out of, right? For 25 years, I've been in the field. I've made some mistakes. I've blown up some networks. It's things that happen. And it's going to happen because you're tinkering with this stuff, but you pretty much have, the change board or people around you that know you're about to break something. That's just the name of the beast when it comes to things like this. You're going to break something or something's going to happen. It happens all the time, especially with people with Amazon. Sometimes these networks go down and they know these networks are going to go down and they have people in place to bring it back up quick and fast. But when you're in a company that you're the only IT guy, they know that you're about to take this down and it might be a minute before you get it back up, right? So you still look at it as, do I go to college? Because college is not going to teach you. You still got to teach yourself. Now, if you go to a technical college, then yeah, you're going to get everything you need to equip you, but you're still not going to get that true knowledge of if something breaks, what the hell do I do? But the thing about college I like, or working in this field, you have people that you network with. So if you're in a class with somebody who is doing the same thing you're doing, you can call them up. If you're cool with them, call them up. Bro, sis, what's going on? I need your help. This is what's going on. This is what happened. But once you get in the field and you start to understand what you're doing and understanding, this might happen compared to this might happen. It's like being that kung fu master, right? You see it before it even comes to you. you can stop it before it even happens, right? So that's what you got to do, when you get in that type of situation. But it's still, I don't think self-taught is really going to teach you those ins and outs like that of seeing, what breaks and what doesn't break. What happens is you get in the field and you understand this is going to break. So when you go home, then you self-teach yourself on how to fix that next time it happens again. One thing being, I worked at CompUSA. That was one of the jobs I had, was working at tech, for the tech portion of CompUSA. And when I went there, I didn't have an A+. Most of the guys had A+, but I was the only one that had a degree. But the manager at the time, which I went to Ball State with him, we knew each other, but we didn't know each other, right? But he gave me an opportunity. And that's one thing you got to have. You got, once again, networking with the school, right? So he gave me an opportunity. But he said, Carl, I'm not going to put you as a tech yet, even though I see that you worked at a tech shop before you came here. But some of the guys, you had to get a A+ cert. In the back of my mind, I'm like, bro, I got a college degree. What do you mean A+? I learned all this stuff at the last job I was at for 2 to 3 years. So why do I need it? But that was their qualifications of what they needed. So it goes there. Qualifications, what you need. So if you want a management position, they might say you need to have a college degree. Or say that you want to apply for this position and they don't say anything about a college degree, but guess what happens? You might go against a person that has a college degree and a person that doesn't have a college degree. Or a person with a cert with a person that don't have a cert. And sometimes they look at that and weigh that. Even though with the experience, they still might weigh that, right? So you got to look at that situation as, do I need to get this or don't need to get this? For me, I always try to make myself better because I've been in those type of situations. And then I look at the end game was, I have a degree, but I don't have a cert. I have a degree and a cert, but I don't have this. All right, now I need to go get this. That's the way I thought, right? And it's been situations where you go into a job where you might not need that, but it's better for you because you have the paper and nobody can't take it away. Now, with self-taught is great, but once again, you go to an interview and you have that person with the cert or the college degree, self-taught. 9 out of 10, they're going to go with this person over here that has that degree or boot camp or that, degree. And you really got to look at that and you really got to understand where the business is going, right? 9 out of 10, the business is going to go with somebody who has the knowledge, has the degree, has the boot camp, or has that type of cert that can actually do the job. Now, comment below what you think, right? Is that something that you think is needed or not needed? But once again, it's one of those things that it's up in the air because you can't think what that person across the table is looking at, right? We are going to talk about interviewing. We're going to talk about dress for success because any interview I try to go to, hey, I'm going to be dripped down because that's going to leave an impression on the person that's interviewing. Number one. Number two, it's just one of those things that you have to really look at. At the end of the day, I might be able to talk about it. I might be able to write on a board. I might be able to look at it and decipher this is what we need to do for this position or job. And I've been in that role where I've been a manager or been a director and had to look at somebody's resume and they have the qualifications or they don't have the qualifications, but they're asking for this much money. Now I'm looking at your resume and I'm looking at you and you're asking me for 10 times more than this position has or wants to pay out. And you looking at the resume, you're looking at, all right, so you don't have a college degree, but you're asking me for double what this job pays. Well, I got the experience. Yeah, experience. Okay. I might be able to get you a little bit more, but I'd rather you have a college degree over experience. But let me take that back. I'd rather you have the college degree and the experience because now I can get you the money that you want, right? Now, when you come in with the experience, with no college degree, no cert, or anything like that, it's kind of iffy, and it depends on the actual who they're looking for, how they, when they looking for, and do they need that person right now, right? Because you might say on paper that you have this, but guess what? We got to pay the bills, and we're not going to get the lights taken out because you didn't know what the hell you were doing. Because I talked to you in the interview, and you thought you were doing great and everything, but then you did something that just didn't click, right? Because you should have that experience to understand, if this breaks, I know what to do. And there's situations, I've been in where if this breaks, I know what to do. If this breaks, I know what to do. If this breaks, I know what to do. If this breaks, oh shit, let me reverse back and understand what I did to reverse back, right? So it's one of those, I think it's going to be a topic for years. Do I go to college and spend all that money? Do I go to boot camp? Do I spend all that money? Do I go to, the self-taught way? It sounds good, but you're going to self-teach yourself while you're in school, or you're going to self-teach yourself while you're in this boot camp. Now, boot camp is great, but boot camp is for somebody who already has that experience, to me. They got to have that experience before they go into boot camp. And what I mean by experience, they're working in that field. Now, one of the big scamming things that people are going around is security, AWS, or Microsoft Azure. Those are the three things that a lot of companies want to use to say, hey, we want to sell this out to everybody. And they can get a lot of money because now they're saying, well, I want to do AWS. And if I do the AWS, I can make 20K a year. Or you have the project management, the agile. Now that's a big thing that everybody wants to be an agile person. And the problem with that is you have no experience. So you get this job in AWS, you get the job as a project manager, you get the job as Microsoft Azure, and what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself in that situation where you went in boot camp and they didn't teach you how to get out of that situation. Now, you had the experience or the truly education on this, then you can say, now I can make that 120K. I had a friend call me up and say, hey, Kay, man, I just, I want to get in security. I said, okay, great. Yeah, man, they told me I can make this much money, this and that. I'm like, seriously? They told you that? Yeah, man, they told me, I go to college, and then I go to this boot camp and I do all this. By then, to be honest with you, you already spent almost 6 years. Maybe if you go to, WGU, which is a good school, or you go to Phoenix, which is a good school, it might be 2 years. You do your technical portion, you do your 2 years. You come out, you do your boot camp. That might take you another six months to a year to get all these certs or whatever you're going to get. Then you come out and you're like, oh man, I'm ready to hit the ground running. Well, what were you doing in between that time? Well, I was working at Club Shay Shay, or you working at some other place that wasn't dealing with IT, right? Or dealing with security. You're going to get in there and get so freaking confused on what the hell to do, right? Or you're going to get in there and you're going to break something, then you're going to lose your job. But one thing I've seen in the last several years with the whole, AWS and the PM cert and the Azure cert and the Agile cert is they're getting people that have no clue or IT clue of what they're doing. So they're getting in this field or getting in this job and have no clue at all. Then they get fired. They got 2-3 months of experience. Now they go to the next job, do the same thing, and go to the next job and do the same thing. Guess what? Number one, don't come to me and say you made $120,000 because, you probably did, but you went through 6-7 different jobs, number one. Number two, What experience did you really get out? Did you learn from the last place that you were at? Are you now learning where you're at now? Do you need to step back and say, hold on, this is not for me? Or is this another direction I need to go that it might not be for me? So, maybe being a PM is not a good thing for you to do. Maybe you want to be, or maybe you just need to work underneath somebody so you can learn. That mentorship, right? You need to learn this before I can just jump in there and thinking I'm about to do this thing. Because sooner or later, you're going to either burn out, you're going to have a bad name in the industry, and you don't want that, especially depending where you're at, because then that means you have to move, or you might have to find another job somewhere different so that nobody knows who you are or what you've done in the past, especially in security. The one thing, I love security to death at the time when I was doing security, but the problem with security is if that network gets hacked, or that network, something happens to that network or that company, and you were on that team, your name's going to get out there and people going to know who you are and what your team did, right? In some instance, they're going to find out. Well, why'd you leave this place? Well, you start looking, or that person on that interview board that's looking, and they got hacked like 2 years ago. Were you on that team? What are you going to say? You can't say no, because it's on your resume that you were on that team, or a portion of that team. So you got to look at it like that. So at the end of the day, do you go to boot camp? Do you go to college? Are you self-taught? Let's figure it out. Like I said, let's comment below. Hit that like and subscribe. My name is Carmore Jr.